Guys, bam, I'm back with another Portable Clint. Guys, I have a friend here. I have worked with this guy a long time ago. Little did I know that this guy was one of the biggest working actors in Hollywood. I had no idea. I always liked him. 122 IMDb credits. Ladies and gentlemen, David Starzyk.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm really happy to be here.
Dude, I'm so glad that you're here,
It's
David.
always nice to see you, too.
Always good to see you. Do you know what job we worked on at the very beginning? If you don't, I totally get it. I'll give you 1 second while I take
Give me a second to think of it. I think it was... Nope, that was Ben Reed. It was... Oh my God, I can see it, too.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. It was for Angel Soft toilet paper. Yes, you were. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's right. I was running down the stairs.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite gigs. I was a spokesman at the time, and I was like, and that's how I met you, and I loved you.
And you know what? I got a great little thing about that, actually.
Let me hear it.
Because that morning, I think we only had one child, and I have two sons.
Okay.
And that morning, I woke up, and my wife and my younger son had, respectively, 100-degree and 103-degree fevers. And I remember her lying in bed going, you're not going to leave me here like this, are you? I'm like, I have to go. And we went, and I think my part of that took about an hour.
Yes.
I was home before noon and making chicken soup before I knew what hit me. So it was great. That was a great little gig. That was Dave Merhar.
Yes, it sure was, man.
He was the director.
He changed my life. That guy in particular changed my life.
He's a great dude.
I love that dude. I want him on the show, but he's like in Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah, he's in Chicago. Yep.
Well, we're going to figure that one out.
Yep.
Okay, David. You have 122 credits, man.
It's kind of hard to believe.
That's really great. But see, here's the deal. Guys, I'm going to teach you how to read an IMDb page, okay? Sure, a lot of people can have 122 IMDb credits.
That's true.
But you, my friend, the names on the projects people recognize, and you have a first and last name. I've got like 98 credits, but a lot of them is janitor, busboy, chef.
Right.
But you got like legit credits.
Yeah. I mean, I've been really, really fortunate over the years. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I came here without I wasn't even in the union when I got here.
Okay, now hang on a sec. Okay, so let's talk about when you came out here. What year did you come out here?
Came out here in 1993, right before the earthquake in 94.
Okay, why did you come out here?
Because my wife had met, we were living in New York City at the time. My wife had met Arnon Milchan, the huge producer. She actually waited on him in a restaurant, had no idea who he was.
I'm sorry, I don't know who it is.
Arnon Milchan produced, oh my God, he's produced JFK, he produced Big, he's a huge producer. He won the Oscar a few years ago for whatever, I can't remember what it was. I think he did the thing with Michael Keaton about the
bird.
No, about the sexual stuff in Boston.
Okay.
Spotlight.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, Arnon's been around for a while. She waited on him. She didn't know she didn't know who he was. She was real funny, and my wife's really beautiful. And
is she an actress?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Her name is Kim Fitzgerald, but she's done mostly commercials now over the years.
Okay.
And she was just funny and winning, and he really liked her, and he invited her to come out here, and he was a real gentleman. I have to say that. I got to give him props for that. And he started introducing her around town. Now, in those days, we didn't know anything about how to do this, so she kept going. I'm serious. She met Oliver Stone, Richard Benjamin, the Donners, CAA, ICM, but she kept waiting for people to ask her to do a monologue, and nobody ever asked her to do a monologue. And then we didn't know how to capitalize on it because we knew nothing about the business. We were just living in New York doing theater, right? So nothing came of that, sadly. But what did come of that was she said, well, we got to come out to LA. We can't stay in New York anymore because in those days in New York, it was Law and Order, and Law and Order.
Sure,
right? There wasn't
and
any
Law and
work.
Order.
And there wasn't any work.
Right.
So I got the best. So if this is also something that younger actors are going to see,
please, yes.
I got two stories that I share with all younger actors that are just great. They're actually from the same guy.
Okay.
All right. So we were here for a week. We had one car.
Where were you staying?
We were living in Hollywood, right next to Hollywood High School.
Okay.
And
John Ritter went there.
Yep. Carol Burnett went there. I think Lana Turner went there.
Yeah.
A lot of famous folks. So as I was going into Rock and Roll Ralph's, and we know where that is, right? That's over on Sunset. there was an old character actor whom I had seen in absolutely everything. I'd seen that he was in stuff, he was in Guys and Dolls, he was in stuff with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, he was in Columbo, he was in everything, this guy. Just old working character actor coming out, carrying his bag, smoking a butt. I'd been here for a week.
I love him.
And I said, I got to stop this guy. And I said, sir, I'm really sorry. I don't want to bother you. I just want to stop you for a second. If you'll just indulge me. I said, I've been here for a week. I want to be an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. Help. Guy put his bags down, took a cigarette out of his mouth, and he told me two things that have stayed with me, and I've shared it with everybody.
I can't wait to hear.
All right, the first thing he said was, just remember, kid, you keep 90% of the money for a reason. Which meant that I had to not only know how to do my job, but I had to really hustle, right?
Sure.
And the second thing he said was, your job for the rest of your life is to get it right. Don't you ever show up on a set and not know what you're supposed to be doing. Those crew people were there before you got there. They're going to be there after you go home. They have families, they have animals, they want to go to sleep. You show up and do your job. Wow. That's why they call it your part. You do your part, the gaffer does his part, the grips do their part, and then all those parts make a whole. So don't ever show up and not be prepared. And that's all he said, and he walked away.
Your part.
You do your part.
Wow, that's a good stuff right
Isn't
there,
that,
David.
isn't that,
yeah, that really
isn't that,
is.
I mean, it really, it's the profundity of it is really amazing because because as actors we're always told, oh, it's about you and what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and in a way it is.
Right.
But in another way, you've got to be able to do your job too. It's not just about that. It isn't just about you and your feelings and all that. You got to know how to do your job.
Yeah.
So that was really great, and I've carried it with me forever.
And you have no idea who the character actor is?
I do. His name was Billy.
Not Billy West.
No, it's with a B. He was. I do not remember his name.
Okay.
But I can see him clearly though.
Okay. If it comes to you, let me know.
I will.
Okay. So that you're here, you hear that.
Yep.
What's next for you after that?
Oh well, lots and lots of struggles, lots of struggling. I wasn't even in the union, and I just started working in restaurants and catering and keeping myself alive and working in different places and doing theater. I did a couple plays, and then I just started to hustle around and try to find an agent. And luckily, there was a guy that who was my first manager who wanted to be an actor, and I worked with him on a scene that he auditioned for that I eventually got. And when I got the scene, when I got the part, he said, "Okay, I'm out. I'm going to be a manager. I want to be your manager." And so he took me around, and so I went with first Bornstein, Oric, and Bogart,
Okay.
which was a small agency, and then I went over to Buchwald, and that's the last place I've ever been.
Wait. How did you just end up at Buchwald? I mean, that's like going from bam to bam.
Well, I started to get lucky. I started to do some work, and the work was, pretty good. One of the things.
What made you start getting good? What happened? That advice the guy gave you only took you so far. Something else
Sure.
had to happen for you to get good.
Well, I started to get a lot of opportunities because what was really interesting, when I was in New York, a guy told me once, he said, I feel really sorry for you because you're a character actor trapped in a leading man's body. And that's really true.
Yeah, totally,
and
man.
It's a tough thing to marry up. So when I first came, they kind of didn't know what to do with me. Like, for instance, those were the years when if you were a stand-up comic, you almost, not automatically, but a lot of them got their own show, right?
Yeah,
a lot of those guys, and well-deserved. I'm not taking anything away from them. But I had done comedic theater. I had done Chekhov. I had done Shakespeare. I had done other original comedies, right? So to go in there and audition for comedies, I can't tell you how many people I'd go in an audition and be, funny or whatever, and they would go, "Where have you been this whole time?" And I've been in New York. That's the best
compliment to get.
Yeah, which is great. So, but they didn't know what to do with me, and I learned something really interesting too at the beginning, which was I started to do sitcoms, and that's what I did. I did a bunch of sitcoms. So then I said to my agents, "Listen, I'm a dramatic actor. I can do drama." So they started to pitch me for dramas, and all the drama people said, No, he's a comic. He's got all sitcoms." So I said, "No." So I started to do dramas, and when I did the dramas, then we went back to pitch me for sitcoms, and people started saying, No, he's a dramatic actor. He's not. So it was interesting that I couldn't quite fit into a mold, as it were. But I got
But
lucky.
Hollywood kind of likes that.
Yeah.
At first, they don't know what to do.
Right.
And then they go, wow, we like this guy because there's no one else like him.
Right, exactly. So, I got lucky. I got a couple of things. What really changed, actually, Tim Allen changed a lot for me by doing something really kind and great.
Let me hear it.
So I got a job. Liam was my first son. I have two boys, Liam and Finn. And Liam was a baby. And I went in and read for Home Improvement. And
CBS Radford lot?
no, it was at Disney.
Yes.
Disney.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So as I was walking off the lot, my pager went off. And so I went to the payphone and I called my agent.
That's always the best
Isn't
feeling,
that
right?
funny?
Yeah.
And she said, okay, listen, they want to hire you, but we don't think you should do it. And I said, why? And she said, it's only 6 lines. We're really pushing you for bigger stuff. And we really would rather that you not do it. And I said, well, listen, I'll tell you what, I won't do it. Here's how that'll go then. I think it was $1,500 for the week or something. It was a co-star role. And I said, so here's what we'll do. You mail me $1,500, see, and I'll mail you back $150. You make the contribution to the pension and health folks. I'll give the managers $150, and everybody will be fine.
David, did you really say that?
I really said it.
That is brilliant, man. I have never heard it put that way, David. That is great.
And she said, oh, if you really feel like you have to, I said, listen, I have a baby. Yes, of course. Okay, we understand. Go ahead and do it. So I went in, and it just happened to be, that was the Halloween episode, which is their biggest episode of the year.
All right.
So you go in to read you go into the table read. There's 1,000 people in there, right?
Yeah,
and because it was Halloween,
which
it was
is more
even
nerve-wracking than the
yeah.
whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we read through it, and at the end, Tim was the executive producer, and he starts giving notes. I like this. I don't like that. I like this. I won't want that. I want this. Blah blah blah. And then he says, and this guy, and he points at me, and I froze, man. I remember being gripped with terror. He said, this guy is very good. I want him to have more stuff tomorrow. So it went from 6 lines to 6 scenes. And it was one of the biggest shows on TV at the time. So what it did was it put me on the map for sitcoms, really, because I'd done sitcoms prior to that, but this was like a biggie. And it was a good part for me. I played a cop, and Wilson was playing a prank on Tim for Halloween. And
wait, David, just to get technical, would that, because your part got bigger and bigger, did you go to co-star to guest star, or did you just say co-star?
Nope, they did not change. No, I had already signed the
I
contract.
got you.
And that was the only bugaboo about it, was that they didn't
it's
kick me
still
out. But
fine.
it's okay. It's fine.
Totally fine.
No, it's fine.
I've just never seen that happen before.
That's right. What we're used to happening, and it's happened to me many times also, is the part goes from that to that.
Yes.
Especially in a sitcom, because they're always honing it, right?
Right.
This went from that to that, which was that's the only time it's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. That, and then afterwards, I did Diane Wilk. I had done a sitcom that she was involved in, but she was also the executive producer of The Nanny. And I got a job on The Nanny on board ship in the Caribbean, and they took my wife. No one will ever say a bad word about Fran Drescher to me, ever. She is the nicest, most generous, most genuine. I just can't say enough nice stuff.
Give me a
about
little bit more about that story. What do you mean she took your wife?
So I walked. It was the only time you've done this before. They say, okay, everyone, we're sorry to do this, but we're going to pick whoever gets the part is going to come with us now.
Yes.
Which is nerve-wracking.
Very.
Okay, it's the only time in my life that I got the job. Every other time it's been somebody else. So this time it was me. And when I walked onto the set, Fran was there, and she said, so I understand your wife is pregnant? And I said, yes, she is. So they must have given them the heads up that I was coming, and Diane had already earmarked me. And I said, yes. She goes, well, do you think the doctor's going to let her come? And I said, come where? She said, well, we're going to be on board ship in the Caribbean, and we'd like to take her with us.
Wow.
And I said, sure. So they brought her, and you know what the best part about that was? Besides the fact that we got it, was that the woman who played Millie on the Dick Van Dyke Show was playing the grandmother. So I grew up watching the Dick Van Dyke. I mean, I watch it now.
Yes, same here.
I was an inveterate fan. Actually, you know what? For my birthday, which was a few weeks ago.
I saw this.
You saw Bill Persky on my
go
Facebook
ahead,
page.
Yes, go ahead.
So my first agent was Jamie Persky. She worked at Bornstein, Oric & Bogart, and her dad was Bill Persky, who created That Girl, who wrote 1 million episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show, who did all this stuff. And I had put up a picture on Instagram a few weeks earlier of Mary and Dick standing, it was from behind them looking out at the crew and the audience.
And I think it was in color too, was it in color?
Yeah, yep.
Which is always interesting because you grew up watching black and white.
Black and white. So so Jamie saw it and saw that it was my birthday and decided that she would ask her dad to send me wishes for my birthday. And he actually got on and said, David, I had a dream last night. Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore came to me and asked me to wish you a happy birthday. Oh. But it's Bill Persky. He's Hollywood royalty.
Oh, that's so great,
Oh, my God. It just, it floated my boat like you just have, I can't even tell you.
Isn't it great that people out here being nice to other people? Because this town is can be so mean.
I got to say that really over all the years, there's only one person that I've worked with that I would not want to work with again. And that I've been extremely fortunate that way. I've had people that, I've had people that they've told me are notoriously difficult who were incredibly kind. But I think part of it is, Clint, I really, really believe this. I think part of it is if you do your job, if you know how to do your job and you do it as a professional, then people perk up immediately.
Yeah.
Because, especially when you're a guest star, the leads are there 14, 16 hours a day. They want to get on with it and move forward. If you can make their day shorter, that makes them, happy. And also, it's like playing tennis, right? If you play tennis with somebody who's, bad, you're going to play badly. If you play tennis with someone who's good, you're going to play better. And I'm not Robert De Niro or anything, but I know how to do my job. If they ask me to do something,
yes, you do, man. Yes, you do.
I know how to do it. So all the things, like I'd been warned about several people prior to going on the set. I never had a problem with anybody. There was one girl. And now she's passed away, so I would not mention her name anyway, but now she's passed on, so I really won't mention her name.
Okay. So, wow, that's all good stuff right there, man. We could end just right there, and that's a good show in my book. But let's talk about, you do Fran. When do you start, making a living at it? Are you making a living while you're doing Fran?
No. For years, oh God, 14 years of my life when my kids were little, I worked with a disabled man in the Valley. I worked with a guy who was brain damaged, autistic tendencies. One of the ideas behind the job was to sort of introduce people that would otherwise be put in group homes into the community. So he came to a lot of plays. He knew a lot of, and actors are nice people. Yeah. I don't know if anybody knows this, but actors are usually pretty nice people. Yeah, no,
they are.
And also very open and understanding, and so why?
Because we struggle so much. Yeah, we see it. Other people.
Yeah. So having the kids and all that stuff, it really necessitated. And the thing was that we don't have to go into this for too long, but I was adopted, and for the first year of my life, I was in an orphanage. So it was, and when my mother and father came and got me, one of the things that they told them was that, excuse me, I wasn't thriving because of lack of affection. That I was really listless, and they thought I was smart. They were wrong about that, but they said that I wasn't thriving. So it was important for my wife and I that one of us be home with the kids when they were little, especially.
Yes.
And so and that, listen, by the way, one of the things about being an actor, and I think you also know this, is that in spite of the fact that there's long periods of unemployment, that now my kids are almost 23 and almost 20, I spent more time with my sons than 85% of fathers in the country.
Amen, brother.
Amen. And that time goes by no matter what you do. If you work, 20 hours a day for, 20 years, or if you don't do anything, but the time's going to go by and they're going to grow up.
Yes.
So the opportunity that I had, so I know my sons, they know me.
Yes.
It isn't like I'm all of a sudden they're out of the house and I'm going, oh gee, I missed it. I didn't miss it.
You said a lot there, David. That is so true.
It's true, man, because it's, and also, because it's a maddening business at times. To come home at night and have that unit, that affection, that fealty, also that responsibility, it really makes you, it just makes you a better person, I think. Look, having kids isn't for everybody, having a family isn't for everybody, it's fine. But I feel like that was kind of a grounding thing for me particularly.
I get it, dude. I get it. Okay.
So, and then from there, I just got really lucky. I did some good stuff.
What was the gig that kind of started making it change?
Lost, I think. Lost was really great, because what happened with Lost was My dad had died.
That's April Webster.
Yep.
Okay.
April Webster. My dad had died not
Casting director.
not too soon prior to that. And I don't know if anybody who's seen Lost, you can look it up. I'm wearing my dad's raincoat, and it was just a little extra something, just something for me.
Yeah.
I'm not a method actor, but what I had to do was I had to show up at the door and tell Harold Perrineau that the woman that I was married to, whom he was with prior, had died, and that she wanted him to have the kid. So I had to have a bit of an emotional scene where I showed up and said, she's passed away, blah, blah, blah. So that really, and it was in Hawaii, which, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And Jorge, who was on the show, was also good friends with my wife. So he took me all over the island,
Awesome.
and that was just phenomenal. So that kind of did a lot. And 2.5 Men actually did quite a bit too, because 2.5 Men, and you know this, right? We're types, okay? So you're gonna be cast in type. I'm gonna be cast as a lawyer or doctor or whatever.
Sure.
In 2.5 Men, I played a very flamboyantly gay man.
Okay.
Which is very against type of who I am. I'm not homophobic by any stretch of the imagination. Actually, I got probably the best compliment of my entire career after I did that. We had neighbors, Jim and Dave, who were married, and I told them, I said, listen, I played a gay man on 2.5 Men, and I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I actually, when we were doing it, there was a big party sequence, and I stood up in the middle of the party, so I said, okay, gentlemen, how many of you are actually gay? And the hands went up, and I said, look, I'm not. If I do anything that you guys consider to be insulting or wrong, please tell me, because I don't want to be disrespectful at all. So the next morning after it aired, I was standing on the corner with Liam, and Jim and Dave came down the hill, and they rolled the window down in the car, and Dave went like this. And I went over to the window. I was like, oh no. And I went over and he leaned out and he goes, are you sure you're straight? And I was like,
yeah, that's a great compliment.
which is a great compliment. Right?
Yeah.
So that was really good. Actually, I got that job because the guy that played Hercules, Kevin Sorbo.
Okay.
Because I was in it with the girl that played Xena Warrior Princess.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. I have no idea what her name is though. But yeah.
Anyway, I was in it with her, and her name will come to me in a moment. And she was just, oh my God, what a woman.
Sure.
God, but I mean, like, just besides the running around and shooting arrows and all that stuff, she's just like good family woman, real fun, real funny. But it was down to, would Sorbo do it? That was going to be the joke, that they had Hercules and Xena, and he said he wouldn't do it. He would not portray that on TV. So I got the job, which was great because I got to, work with Charlie and John, who are, really nice guys. I had a good time with Charlie, and that was a big show also. So that kind of put me on the map a bit, So it's just, and now it's just kind of, I just so everybody knows, especially if you guys are young actors, okay? All the work that I've done over all these years, I just did my first series regular job.
Look at
First
you,
time,
man. Look
but
at
after all that time,
right?
And here's the best part of it. So my sons left home within 3 days of each other, and I was not ready for what that was going to be. I was apoplectic, man. I was sitting in the backyard just bummed out. And
I'm bummed out now, and they're still here. But I just know they're about to leave.
It's coming, and when it comes, it's a big adjustment. But there's good things about it too. But at the moment, and they left within 3 days of each other. And my wife didn't come back. She took Finn to Fordham, and she went to visit her mother and our friends in New York and stuff. So I was there all by myself with the dogs who were bumming out, and the cat who kept coming in, going, "Is everyone gone? Where's the food?" So Rob Thomas called me and just offered me the part on Veronica Mars. So that was the
new reboot of Veronica Mars.
Yep. And that was fun. I had a great part. I worked with J.K. Simmons, against whom I had coached Little League, right? So when he walked into the dressing room the first day, he's like, "Coach Starzyk." I still remember coaching against him because all our guys on our team were sitting around going, "It's Jonah Jameson who's coaching the other team."
Oh Oh man,
which
that's
is
great.
Yeah, so so that really was, and look, that enabled me to pay for a whole year of college. And my goal here was to get my son out without any debt. I hope I'm going to be able to do it. Well, that's not wood.
There we go.
So that was a great gig, but also it was a culmination of a long time. And Rob's hired me many times too. He's hired me. I think this is probably the 5th or 6th time he's hired me.
Which is the greatest compliment to get in Hollywood is for them to rehire you, especially from other projects. Like, oh, I worked with David on this job.
Yep.
He was great. Let's just bring him in.
Yep. David Kelly's done that for me a bunch too.
Yeah, you did a lot of David Kelly projects.
Yeah. Well, now David Kelly's from Boston. I'm from Western Mass, so we have that in common. But also, David was a lawyer, and I play lawyer as well. That's all there is to it. What's
it like when you are a series regular on a show compared to being a guest cast?
So there's 2 things about it. I showed up the first day, and I said, could I get I don't know what I wanted. I wanted like a water or something. But I'd like a sparkling water. And the PA said, "Oh, you can have anything you want." And I was like, no one's ever said that to me before in my life, right? They're always like, craft service is over there, get it. The other thing about it though, I think, and I've been fortunate over the years, I'm just gonna name a few. Peter Scolari, Tim Allen, Fran Drescher, James Spader, Kristen Bell is another one. The leads on the shows that I've worked on understood that their job was not just to do their part and be, the biggest role in the show, but they were the lead. They were leading forward, and everyone followed along with their example. If you've ever been to a set where the lead is difficult, and unfortunately I have not been to that many of them, and even on the ones where the lead was difficult, they were not difficult with me. It just makes for a better work environment for everybody. And so I took that part of it very seriously. I wanted everybody to have a good feeling when I came on the set. I mean, wouldn't you hate it? I've seen this before. Wouldn't you hate it if when you leave a set, people go, "Geez, thanks God that guy's gone."
Oh, I would hate it.
Oh my God, right? I wouldn't want people talking about me like that.
Yeah.
So to have...
I want just the opposite.
Exactly. So I really cultivated that. I made sure that from a professional standpoint that I was making everyone's job easier, because not only was I doing my job and knowing and being prepared, and you had to be. I mean, JK is an Oscar winner for crying out loud. I'm not going to show up and not, right?
Yeah.
But also, it was just important for me as one of the series regulars to make my time there as inclusive and as positive as possible. I really think that's a big part of it. It comes from the head down. And for instance, in Veronica Mars, Kristen Bell she's the consummate professional. She's fun, she's funny, she's open, she's talented, she's interesting, she's interested. She'll come and sit or Joe Mantegna was one. I was not a regular on Criminal Minds, but I brought this is one of my favorites. I brought my older son, who was at that time going to Los Angeles County High School for the Arts, and he came to visit. So we did a sequence where I got thrown to the ground, and Andy Milder was in it with me.
I love him.
I love Andy, right? And I came for lunch, and Liam and I were sitting there, and Joe came over, and he saw us sitting, and he came over and goes, "Can I sit with you guys?" And we said, "Sure." So he sits down.
And that just right there makes all the difference in the world.
But he's talking to Liam. "Oh, so what grade are you in? What are you interested in? Blah, 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 blah." He told us a couple funny theater stories. Midway through, though, Liam was, I think, 15 at the time. Midway through, I saw Liam's eyes get really big. He was looking at me and he went, like that. So when Joe got up and left to go back for touch-ups, I said, "Hey, I saw your eyes get big there. What happened?" And Liam goes, "That guy was in The Godfather 3.
Oh, that's great, man.
But he's like, there's another great example of a guy. He's a real mensch. He's a real he would be. I think Joe would probably be the same if he owned a pizza joint, or if he was a plumber, or if he was a movie star. He's just a real down-to-earth, wonderful, talented, but also mindful of everybody around him.
Yeah,
you know, which is really, really important.
It just changes, like I said, changes everything when people are kind to you. Sit down and talk to your son.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, we're going to pull over for 1 second.
Okay.
Will you give me a 2-minute acting class?
Sure.
You get 3 to 5 pages. I know you're a series regular now, but...
Well, I'm not anymore.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you got 3 to 5 pages.
Yep.
And it's tomorrow. Right now it's 1:30.
Right.
And it's tomorrow at 1 o'clock. When do you start looking at it, and how do you prepare for it?
I kind of start looking at it probably in the evening. One of the things that I've been doing lately, because of course I'm in my 50s, so my eyes aren't as strong as they used to be. What I do is I bring it up and I make I make 28 font on one word, and I put my lines in bold. And what I do is I copy it. I don't copy and paste. I copy it down. I write it, and by writing it down, it helps me to remember it more. I will also, I've got a little party trick too, and it's just really a party trick. I'm a very good cold reader. You can give me something and I can read it quickly, I can make a decision very fast, and 8 times out of 10 it's the right way to go, and even if it's not, I can be directed in a different way. So I don't lose the spontaneity of it. I don't work on it to the point where I don't overwork it, because I like the sequence to be sort of alive when I go in there and I'm doing it. So I'll work on it in the evening, and then I'll look at it a few times in the morning. So if it's at 1:30, I'll look at it a few times.
How long are you working on the evening?
Probably, it depends on the size of it. Probably an hour, maybe hour.
Are you in your own little room? Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I go in the back and I shut myself in the bedroom and I read it over and over and over again. And I don't memorize it per se, but I get it to a point where, and you know how this works anyway. If you're working, you remember it faster anyway because you have to, right?
Right.
So like for instance now, I was just asked by Versus Theater Company to fill in for a month to play Saul in True West.
Okay.
So that was kind of fun because, working in TV, you don't have any option. You have to show up and do it, right? You can't show up and go, I've got to find it. I need to find myself the camera's there. You gotta, you get one pass at it if you're lucky. Sometimes you don't even get a pass at it, but you get a couple passes at it. They move the camera on, you go in, do it. So I just showed up and kind of did it in the first rehearsal, and they were like, wow. But they don't know that it's, I'm so used to working like that you have to get it right away.
Yeah.
So I will work on it probably for an hour and a half the night before. If there's a script, I'll read the script, obviously, just to put it in context. And then in the morning, I'll look at it a few times. And then I try to get to the audition 40 minutes early or so, just so I can sit out there and, so I'm not rushing. So I'm not rushed.
When you go into the room, are you off book?
No. I would say I'm semi-off book.
Okay.
I will, if I have the longer the speeches are, the more off book I am.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because isn't it true with all of us, right? If you get a part that's 2 lines,
it's the hardest.
You're stumbling over the lines, right?
Yes.
If you get a part that's 2 pages, you're like, la, 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 la,
right?
So I will be off book for, I'd say I'd be off book for about 2/3 of it. But someone told me years ago, actually, this was really good advice. James Eckhouse, do you know him? Eckhouse?
Yes. How do I know that guy?
He was the dad on 90210. He's a great guy and a terrific actor. He's one of my mentors. And he told me years ago, he said, don't go in there without the paper. He said, because it doesn't even matter whether you know it or not. From a psychological standpoint, if you don't have the paper in your hand, they think that's the finished product.
Right, yeah.
The other thing that it took me a long time to get over, and this is for the young folks too, the other thing that took me a long time to get over was if they asked me to do something differently. I would immediately, when I was younger, feel attacked. I'd be like, oh shit, they didn't like what I did.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And actually that wasn't true. What I found out afterwards was, no. If they see that you've got the potential to do it, then they will direct you and see, can you take direction? Can you do it a different way? Blah, 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 blah. Sometimes they just want to play with you a little
But we're so insecure, we're thinking, oh my God, I messed up.
Hey, listen, it just happened to me. Episode 2 of Veronica Mars, the guy was questioning what I was doing in this sequence over and over again. And I started thinking, my God, he doesn't like it. and they go, well, listen, why don't you blah, blah, blah. So on the way back, he and I were in the van together on the way back to base camp. And he said, boy, you did a great job. And I said, thank you. I said, I just got a feeling there for a little bit in the beginning. You didn't like what I was doing. And he said, are you kidding? He said, no, you're a very creative person. I was just trying to get more out of you, that's all. See, so it just, you can't, unless someone says, listen, what you're doing sucks, then that's a different thing, of course. But and that doesn't happen either. Let's see if that doesn't happen. But yeah, so I will be 2/3 off book, but I will always have the sides in my hand because I don't want them to think it's a finished product, and also I may have to refer to them anyway.
Okay, David, you're doing a play right now.
Yep.
How often do you do plays?
I'll try to do a play once every few years. I haven't done one for a few years now. I did something at the Odyssey with Bruce Nozick and Mandy Turpin, which was amazing. Nozick was just amazing, and Mandy is one of the nicest and most talented ladies in town. And the did with so I do it to keep my toe in.
Well, I was going to
but
ask.
also I do it. It's almost like going to the gym, right?
Well, yeah, you would think that's what I would agree with you, but I'm thinking, well, man, if you have 122 IMDb credits, why are you doing a play? You don't need to be doing plays.
Well, I do it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I do it for me. It makes me more facile.
Facile, I got to look that word up.
Facile is it's just the root word of facility. It's just, it makes you more, it makes it easier. If you're facile at something, you're very good at it.
Okay.
And you can do it quickly.
Okay.
So, and almost without effort, really. You've got a facility for it, right? So it makes me more facile. It makes me more, and also, come on, let's face it. The audiences that we work in front of are usually the crew, right?
Yeah,
and they have to be quiet.
Yeah.
So if you can play ping pong with the audience a little bit and, make them laugh or make them do whatever it is that
Sure.
they're going to do, that's a good feeling also.
Okay, David, a few questions.
Sure.
We're going to start winding this down.
Yeah. Because I could talk forever. So.
No, no, that's great. I love every minute of it. What's been the hardest time of your career? Remember, this is all career or not your personal life. What's been the hardest time in Hollywood for you?
The hardest time, and it made me realize that I was going to be an actor forever. This was it. Excuse me. I got hired. I had done a show, and Mr. Bruckheimer saw me.
Jerry?
Yep. And they hired me blindly for a show called Close to Home.
Okay.
Close to Home got picked up. I was in the trailer. I had friends that were in sales in New York who went to the upfronts and said, oh man, you're all over the trailer for Close to Home. Yeah.
Oh boy.
My agent said 2 days before it was coming to a close, my agent said if they were going to make a different move, they would have done it by now. And so we should expect to be signing the contract at the end of this week. The night before the contract was up, they called and said, yeah, they decided they're going to go 10 years younger. Now, it was, and the show was on for 2 years. It would have been a real game changer for me. I sent my wife and my kids out of the house, and I'm not kidding, man. I wept as hard as I wept when my father died. I cried so hard. It was such a big blow because it was the last minute. Oh, it was so bad. And when it was over, I realized that if that didn't drive me out of the business, if a last minute thing like that was so disappointing and cost me so much money and such exposure, that didn't drive me out of the business, then I wasn't going to go. I actually had what we call a come to Jesus moment where I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, am I going to put my family through this? Am I going to put my kids, my wife, and myself? Am I going to keep doing this? The answer was yes, I am.
Awesome.
So that was the thing that, and the flip side of it was this. I thought, well, they must have hated what I did. They didn't like it or whatever. I don't know how I ended up in the trailer, for crying out loud, if they weren't going to put me in it. I thought they hated it. And then when I went back east with my wife and my sons to Block Island, where my in-laws were living at the time, we got a call, and Mr. Bruckheimer hired me to do 6 episodes of a show with Don Johnson and Jay Baruchel that was called Just Legal at that time. And then I knew that it wasn't me and it wasn't Bruckheimer. It was somebody at CBS just said, the guy has to be 10 years younger.
And our mind again, our insecure mind. You've been thinking the whole time
Oh, it's
that
us.
Jerry
It's me.
Bruckheimer
It's me.
was
Yeah,
did not like
they must
you.
have looked at it and gone, he's not that good. Well, whatever, you know. And so I took it all on me. But it was a big moment because it was a big blow. It was very disappointing. I wasn't angry. I was just crushed.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know, because it would have been, you know, I mean, we're talking about, it was a starting salary of like 25 grand a week, so it would have been, and it ran for 2 years, you know, and I never begrudged the guy that got it, whatever. It was out of everybody's hands, but to sort of see on the other side of it that it wasn't me, that they wrote a part for me later on in the year, the same production company.
Awesome.
Then that was the thing that I went, okay, well, it was just a choice.
Yeah,
then they just kind of went, well, we don't want an easy chair, we want a director's chair.
Yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
Yep.
What was the best time in Hollywood for you? What was when you're just like, man, this is the best time in Hollywood? This
Yeah, when
is
I
like,
was
wow.
doing Veronica Mars this past
Great.
fall and spring, it was
Great.
absolutely amazing. I was really in my element. I really enjoyed it. I loved being with everybody. I loved being with the crew.
Did you go home? I'm sorry, don't interrupt. Did you go home happier? Was the grass greener?
Oh God,
was
yeah.
the tree?
Oh God, yeah. Oh God,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but what were you about to say?
Well, there was a period where when Finn was born, Finn is my second son. When Finn was born, I was doing Felicity. I was doing 3 jobs in 1 week. I got 3 jobs in 1 week, and I had 1 day off, which my wife said, you got to be there for the baby. I said, well, I don't know how we're going to do this. She said, I do, and she drank some castor oil, and that was it. And we had the baby because she was almost due anyway. So she was due actually at that point. So I really liked doing that because it was 3 different things. I don't remember exactly what they were, but it was a sitcom. Oh, Veronica's Closet with John Mariano, who I know you know Johnny. Johnny's one of the funniest guys, one of the nicest people in town. He's a dear friend of mine. Veronica's Closet, CSI, New York, and Felicity, all in the same week, and they were all different parts. So I got a chance to stretch around, and you know, you go from one to the other, and it's like, this is an audience, and that one's not, and blah, blah, blah. So that was really a lot of fun. It was very challenging. But Veronica Mars was just such a blessing, and it was such an opportunity for me to not just sort of bring I've said this before, but I will say it again, not just an opportunity for me to bring whatever talents I possess, but my professionalism and my spirit to the proceedings to make what I hope was better.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, making it hard. And by the way, excuse me, not a difficult person on that set, nobody.
Awesome.
They are the nicest people.
Great.
And I did that show in 15 years ago. That's why I came back and did it again. I did 3 episodes of it, I think. And it was amazing to see those people who were ostensibly kids in those days, how they've grown up to be just solid citizens, wonderful actors. You know, everybody's got families. Everybody's just really, really nice folks. So I'm really proud of all of them too, you know.
David, you're a nice guy, so you attract nice people in your life. And I think that, seriously.
Like you.
Okay, David.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you one last question.
Please.
What is it that you want to accomplish in Hollywood? What's the number one thing? And please don't say to stay a working actor. But what is the one thing that you want more than anything in this business? Academy Award, Emmy?
No.
Create your own stuff?
I've been writing now for several years. We've actually got my writing partner and I have a script that is getting some notice, so we'll see. I've written several things. I have co-written several things. I would love to sell a script that I wrote. That would be great. And they're not the David Starzyk show. None of them are.
Okay.
One of them is an homage to my dad. It's about a small town in New England incumbent on a central tool factory for its lifeblood.
Oh, yeah.
Factory's going to close. Factory's going to close and move to China. The people band together to save their jobs.
That's a good one. Don't be talking about that. Someone's going to take it.
It's copywritten.
Okay, there you go.
But the other thing is, what I want to be able to, this is going to sound so stupid, but I want to be able to look back on my career with and have pride in what I've done, and have people that think back on me when the day comes, that remember me as being not just talented, but somebody that made a positive contribution to the environments I was in. Because I think it's so important. It's just those, you have to know. Unless you do it, you got to know. Those crew people work so hard. They're there all day. The guy summed it up for me once a few years ago. I was doing an episode of Standoff at Fox, and this gentleman was a grip, and he was going to retire. And he said, yeah, I'm retiring after 42 years. I said, really? He goes, yeah, he said, it's really been something. I said, well, you have a family? He said, yeah. I said, well, look at that, sir. I said, 42 years, kept your family insured, kept your family fed, wonderful, wonderful. And he said, yeah, but if you think about it, in all honesty, I've spent the majority of my adult life in a dark room being quiet.
Oh.
So that's really what I would like. Certainly I would love to be able to play a part that would get me noticed by the awards committees for sure. But more importantly, I think if I just can continue to work and have a positive impact on the environments that I'm in, that's something that's very near and dear to my heart.
Well, you made an impact on me. I worked with you, like I said, many years ago.
Yep.
But then, like when I run into you at Ralph's or something like that, I get excited.
I ran into you and your daughter, didn't I?
Yes,
outside of Starbucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, David, we're going to do one last thing, and
Sure.
that's you saying goodbye to everyone.
All right.
So will you just do me one last favor?
Yeah.
Look right in there, tell everybody goodbye. By the way, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, you know what? Thank you very much for asking me.
All right, David.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is David Starzyk along with Mr. Clint, and I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep.